Alright, hello, welcome back to some more Higurashi. New year, new me. Welcome to 2024, baby. Hopefully you have a good year too. Yeah, we're about to finish off this arc, Keiichi and Mion are gonna get married. Takano will probably be like, oh, you know what? Good couple. I think I'll just leave Hinamiza alone, and I think we're just gonna get a happy ending in this chapter. So, yeah, let's just continue on. I'm joking, but that's a good segment last chapter, man. Thank you. Thank thank you, writer. I was trying to say Ryukishi, but he didn't write this, right? Thank you, based Mion Enjoyer, author. The surrounding area was already pitch black.
参った。
I finally succeeded in escaping from that banquet, or perhaps I should say the chaos of the meeting hall, and I took a seat on the stone steps in front of the shrine. Then the chilling touch of those steps brought me back to my senses, and I let out a sigh of relief. Rena, Satoko, and the other kids were making a commotion earlier, but they had already gone home. Only me, Mion, and the certified guardian, Shion, was stuck here, partying with the drunken adults. Mion was embarrassed to death at first, but whether she had finally grown resistant to it, or had simply resigned to her fate, she ultimately began pouring the adults drinks and chatting with them in high spirits. It looked like she was pouring oil on the fire, but if I approached her and asked her to stop it, it probably would have just made things worse. But considering it'd be bothering me on to keep myself shine reluctant, I thought I should start to grow some thicker skin too. This is the one occasion where anyone can make a fool of themselves, just for today and go right back to normal tomorrow. And then, after that, let's not think about that for now.
しかし、ミオンのお母さんがあんな人だったとはな。
I had heard just a little bit about her, but it was totally a case of like mother like daughter, or maybe the other way around. What, like daughter like mother? How does that make sense? Anyway, in short, she was outstanding. I guess it made sense if you know Mion more. I guess you could say the opposite. I had always thought that Mion's plucky personality and older sister demeanor came from either her father or her grandmother Oryu, dubbed Empress Sonozaki. But now I realized the truth. No doubt about it, she got it from her mother. Although, when her father confirmed that for me, he turned to me with an indescribable expression and offered me encouragement by saying, "You too, good luck." I couldn't help but tremble, thinking I might become like him in the future. Bruh, shots
で
fired.
も、いい人たちだったな。
Mion's mother leapt into conversations many times, and her father's way of speaking and laughing didn't feel like what I'd expect from a gangster, but I could easily tell just how close the two of them were. And I realized that Mion had grown into the wonderful person she was because of the two of them. I heard all kinds of stories. Amusing old stories, dubious ghost stories, and legends. And stories about the dark, sad past of Hinamizawa.
ダム工事ですか。
Lore, our dude, because it hasn't happened in a while, but in the main arts, you always have like a segment where they explain some Hinamizawa backstory. We're back, the history lesson, though it's usually given by like Takano.
そう。このひなみ沢はね、お上のお偉方が建てた国土計画の一環ってやつで、ダム湖の底に沈むことになっていたんだよ。
あ、でも中止になったんですよね。
中止になってなかったら、ここで宴会なんてやってないさね。中止にさせたんだよ。村人みんなで団結してね。だから、今日のこの時間は、私たちが戦って勝ち取った報酬なんだよ。
Mion's mother laughed while raising her glass, then took a drink. She had been drinking quite a bit, but she didn't look drunk at all. What an amazing person. The dam opposition effort was ongoing up until just 5 years ago. According to her, the villagers united to protest at the government offices and construction sites, and the story was featured in newspapers and magazines. It seemed like a huge ordeal. Mion's mother described these past parts in a cheerful tone. That may have been partially due to pride, but more than that, it was likely done to avoid alarming the listener. Yeah. Soften it up a bit. But thanks to that, it sounded kind of fun. I too wish I was there to throw rocks at the damn employees.
はじめこそ議会を通じて嘆願したり、大臣に直接訴えたり、比較的に平穏なものだったよ。でも徐々に国は権力を行使して高圧的な態度で挑んできた。機動隊とかなんとか組織だった強制執行ってやつでね。だから戦った。私たちもあの子もね。
ミオンも
Mion helped. Shion was sabotaging. Shion was pretending to be Mion and got in trouble with the police. I remember that.
ああ。
Mion was wholesomely protesting.
あ
Because
の
she's
子
the
は行動
best.
力もあるけど、いろいろと悪知恵が効いてね。
I don't know. But Shion's definitely the one that got in trouble all the time.
警官隊とかの武力集団に立ち向かったりして、公務執行
That's
妨害で
Shion!
よく留置場に放り込まれていたよ。
Unless they both did it, but from my memory, I'm pretty sure it was just Shion.
おい、余計なことは言わんでいい。
Mion's father, who was sitting right beside her, spoke up to cut her off.
そりゃそうだけど、ミオンの夫になろうって以上、話しとくのが筋ってもんだろ。
それはミオンが自分で話すことだ。
It is kind of awkward if you're like dating someone and then their parents are like, oh yeah, my child like got in trouble with the police and went to like, you know, detention centers and stuff. It's kind of awkward for sure.
はいはい。私はそういう隠し事は嫌いだけどね。
W dad? Wish he had a name
やれやれ。
instead of just Mion's dad, but
あ
very rare for the parents to have names. Besides Akane, I guess. I reached for the bottle of sake in front of me to distract myself. Then, when I looked back, I saw Mion's mother had stopped smiling and was staring straight back at me.
なんでこんな話をしたか。そう思ってるかい。
Ah.
あ、いやはい。
That was a natural question. I handed her the sake bottle. Then she poured herself another glass and choked. And then she thought deeply while choosing her words.
ひなみ沢はね、昔から根も葉もない噂を立てられたりして、この村の出身者はいろいろと差別されてきた。だから結束力が固いと言えば聞こえがいいけど、反面ものすごく排他的でね。外から来た人には無意識のうちで色眼鏡をかけちまう。だから結構みんな気にしてたんだよ。前原くんたちのように新しい人たちがうまくやっていけるか。知らないうちに暮らしづらい空気を作ってはいないかってね。
そんなことないです。
Problem solved. We've solved the racism in Hinamizawa already. Put that one on your checkbook. Your checklist.
毎日が楽しくて
Easy.
ひなみ沢に引っ越してよかったと
We didn't even need to do anything.
本気で思ってます。
The words came out naturally, without any hesitation, because I truly did feel that way.
そう言ってくれると嬉しいよ。あの子は、ミオンはレナちゃんやあんた、それに北条の里子ちゃんのこともいつも気にかけていた。
Rana made a joke about her not giving a shit about Rika, but the reason she's saying that is because me and Rena are kind of outsiders. Rena's kind of weird. And obviously, like, everyone hates Satoko, so...
だからこの村の暗い過去、そして噂話を秘密にし
Made
ていたん
sense,
だ
I
ろう。
guess. The Rena already knows it.
みんなに明るく過ごしてもらいたい。そ
And
の
I
一
assume
心でさ。
Satoko kind of knows it. Come to think of it, Rena said the same thing. When she moved here last year, she was able to adjust to the village atmosphere without any difficulty thanks to Mion's support. She may seem rough at first glance, but she cares more than anybody else. Mion is a really kind-hearted girl. Straight facts.
それでも狭い村のことだからいつかはわかる話だろう。だけど隠していたのはそういう理由だっていうこと分かったからね。どんなことがあってもあの子の優しさだけはあんたたちだけでも信じてやってはくれないかい。
I felt this strong, warm affection behind those words.
あの子はこれまでずっとこのきっとこれからもそうな
I
んだ
think
ろ
I skipped. My bad. Don't dramatic pause me.
う。だからあの子は自分の思いとか感情ってやつを無意識に押し込めるところがあるのさ。かわいそうなことをした。そのせいで冷たいとか人の心を読み切れていないとか誤解されてひどいことも言われたりしてね。
Excuse me? Who the fuck thinks Mion's like that? I guess maybe when she's in her head of the Sonozaki family mode, but that's weird.
そんな
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Mion's heart is cold? That's wrong. That's the one thing she said that's wrong. What's cold about doing your best to selflessly think about the people around you? Yeah, that's literally like the opposite of cold. Like when she tested me for the role of class representative. She'll sacrifice anything for the sake of others, even if it means becoming the bad guy. As shown in Higurashi Sotsu? It was predicted all along? Such a broad, kind heart may sometimes seem cold, but I didn't think myself too dull to recognize it, and I wanted to believe myself the sort of person who could feel it.
正直疑いそうになったことはあります。けどやっぱりミオンは最高の仲間です。
Yep, best friend, better than any other friend.
少なくとも俺は、そして俺たちはそう思っています。
ありがとうよ。
I'll take the Mion winking.
けれども
They don't
皆
usually
の
get to
代表
celebrate
になる
like
っての
this.
はそういうことなんだよ。自分の感情を殺しても皆の生活と安定を求めなくてはいけない辛い。そしてそれは村のみんなが知ってる。知っていて結局何もできなかった。私も含めてね。だからこそあの子があんたの名前を出して委員長を任せるなんて言った時には正直驚いたんだよ。たかが学校の役職なんて言うかもしれない。それでも上に立つことの辛さはあの子が一番よく知っているはずだからね。
I mean, I think you're overplaying the school representative, but I get what she's saying. The burden of leadership. But I don't know how much burden it's gonna be in a tiny ass school like that, though. You know?
おいそれと誰かに背負わせるくらいなら自分が黙って持ち続けようとするんだよ。今までのあの子ならね。
俺は
Up until now, I wasn't thinking too deeply about what Mion said. I thought her excuse that she was studying for exams was just an attempt to hide her embarrassment, but the adults around her were watching that in a different light. Even so, oddly enough, my feelings didn't change at all. It was no lie that I wanted to work hard for everyone's sake as a person in charge, and I felt a tremendous desire to reciprocate Mion's strong faith in me.
あ、でもそれならなおさらなんで
To tell me about Mion's past and the real Mion. I can't rule that out for certain, but isn't there a chance hearing it would make me think less of her? Is that really a good thing to do? Mion's mother responded with a laugh and then raised her glass as she answered my question.
言っただろ。ミオンは私たちの大事な宝だ。だからあんたには私たち以上にミオンの力になってくれる友達でいてやってほしいんだよ。
And then, Mion's mother gazed straight at me with sharp eyes. For a moment, I nearly faltered, but then realized it'd be polite to respond to her sincerity, so I clenched my fists and looked back at her.
結婚なんて本当はどうでもいい。実現したらなおいいけどね。で
Okay.
あの子に必要なのはあの子が等身大になって話ができる友達だ。やばい時には助けられて盛大に迷惑をかけ合っても構わない仲間なんだ。そしてあんたたちならそれが務まると私は勝手に思ってるのさ。ずいぶんと重い荷物を背負わせちまってるけどさ、あの子の期待とかいろんな思い、それだけは分かってやっておくれ。
Yeah, I think we'll be fine.
はい。
We got the approval of the parents. Stage 1 of marriage complete. Nice.
ミオンは
I
大
skipped.
切な友達ですから。
Wait, let me read that. The answer came right out of my mouth. I worried it looked careless of me to speak so quickly, but Mion's mother seemed to be able to read the movements in my heart and nodded to me with a clear smile on her face.
任せてください、お母さん。
Okay, that's crazy. Wait, they're actually getting married. Why do you say it? Why do you say mom? That's crazy. Suddenly I felt my head being grabbed. Mion's mother was waving her index finger at me, saying, "Tis, tis, tis."
そいつは本当
Yeah,
に
that's
結婚
crazy.
する時
I
まで
can't believe
お
you
預
said
けだ
that.
よ。私はその日を楽しみに待ってるからね。
It's scheduled though. Marriage is scheduled. Life is good.
あ
ミオンで役不足だったら
No, 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 no.
いつでも乗
Please
り換えていいんだよ。
do not switch to the Shion train. That train is way too rocky.
若いツバメは大歓迎さ。
Okay, well, I mean, if you're talking about the Akane train, that's a whole different situation here. But I couldn't help but spit out the oolong tea I was drinking and burst into a coughing fit. I'm simply no match for someone like her. Is Mion going to turn out like this? I don't know. Probably. I couldn't help but shudder as an image of Mion walking all over me came to my mind. Mion came in carrying food from the kitchen, but thanks to that I couldn't even look her in the eyes. What a night. A sigh leaked out, but it wasn't out of a desire to escape the overwhelming pressure. Actually, I was feeling restless, thinking about the things I could do going forward. Marriage or whatever, the idea of that's still a long ways off for us kids, and the adults making such a fuss know that perfectly well. Still, everyone grows up someday. There's only so long you can be an irresponsible child. That goes for Mion, Rena, Satoko, Rika-chan, and Shion. And of course, me too. And Tomita and Okamura. The time I can spend thinking of only myself will fade in the future. My thoughts, words, and actions can affect the lives and very existence of others, and get them involved whether I want them to be or not. I need to keep that in mind. And supporting other people, working together, facing hardships without turning and running. That's what it means to become an adult, and to let someone other than yourself take over something you created. It felt like I was finally beginning to understand why so many people came to today's gathering. Listening carefully, I could hear the cry of the crickets! My title drop is ruined? They had a different tone from the afternoon cicadas and the evening Higurashi that surrounded this quiet area. I do love the cricket sounds, man. In the summer, open my window at night, just hear the crickets. It helps me go to sleep sometimes, honestly. It's strange. In the past, I felt scared, lonely, and small when alone in the dark. It was miserable and wretched. But now it's very peaceful. It wasn't that long ago that I was living in Tokyo, but it already felt like a bad dream. I spread my arms and legs out and gazed up at the glittering star-filled sky. It was easy to see the binary star system in the Big Dipper. I am ass at star constellations. I literally can't see anything even if people point it out to me. Back when I was in Tokyo, I could only see the other star with the telescope. More things have become visible thanks to the change in environment. It may seem like a tired expression, but before I came to Hinamizawa, I never considered any adults or friends my age an irreplaceable part of my life. Really? Not even your parents? I'm glad I came here. I believe that from the bottom of my heart. And in order to avoid forgetting the lessons and consequences of my past mistakes, like shooting people with BB guns and... did he end up blinding the girl? All I remember is he shot like a little girl in the eye with a BB gun. And they worded... no. Never mind. But yeah, that was crazy. Remember the anime adaptation, the Studio Dean adaptation, where all we know is that he shot a girl in the eye and there's like no explanation. He just like tells that to his friends. It was like such an awkward scene because it was just like very weird because there's like no sympathy or whatever. It was just like fully just saying that to his friends, like, yeah, that's what happened. Unlike in the novels where it shows how much he regretted it and how it changed him as a person. And I love in the anime they're just like, wow, that's crazy. Who asked though? I mean, they do that in the visual novel, but yeah, that was not the best adapted scene for sure in the anime. I could faintly hear the uproar inside the assembly hall along with the cry of the crickets! My title dropped ruined part 2? And in addition to that, I felt like I could see a flickering figure off in the inner part of the shrine grounds just a short distance away. Yeah, probably Rika. Rika talk. I got up and looked more carefully. There was a dark pine forest on the other side, with no light at all. Suddenly, a cool breeze blew up, stroking my cheeks. Weird line. And for a moment, I started to think whatever I saw was just grass or something.
Keiichi.
Yep, that's a Rika voice. Keiichi. Mixed together with the wind, I heard a faint sound resembling a human voice.
Eh?
Was that a hallucination? No, that voice definitely called out my name.
Keiichi.
Hello. There it is again, and this time it sounds even clearer than before. What should I do? Should I go to it or... What do you mean? What are you scared of? It's not... No, let's go. I mean, I guess it could be eerie. Still anxious and hesitant, I stepped into the realm of darkness in the recesses of the shrine grounds. After taking the first step, my legs kept moving on their own. Beep? The place I arrived at was a high vantage point I had visited before. And then...
Rika-chan?
There she is.
Keiichi.
Different voice, but yeah, that was her adult voice.
なぜここに?
The person standing here overlooking the village was Rika-chan. Unless that was Hanyu? Imagine if that's Hanyu calling out to Teichi.
いつの間に帰ったのかなって思ってたけど。
It could have been, actually. It sounded like Rika to me, but Hanyu does have, like, the same mannerisms in her speech as Rika.
ここにいたんだ。
She lives here.
Me.
Meep. Rita's actions are somewhat more awkward than usual. Perhaps because my arrival had given her quite the surprise? But what was that voice earlier?
俺を呼んだのって、リカちゃんじゃないのか?
Apparently not.
呼んでないのです。
That's weird. Yeah, it must have been Hanyu then, or like her remnants. The remnants of Hanyu that wasn't able to form in the fragment.
でもとは思いましたのです。
After saying that, Rita-chan muttered something quietly and turned her gaze downward. Then she turned her back this way and looked up to the moon. In the silence, a breeze blew up from the base of the hill, causing Rita-chan's long dark hair to dance and glitter in the moonlight. Her unveiled small back and shoulders exude a harsh ice-cold aura, leaving me speechless as I stared at them for a while.
さ、リカちゃん。
運命の導き。まさか。でも。なんでもないのです。こんばんはなのです。ケイチ。
Well, back to quote-unquote normal Rita. Then Rita-chan turned to me with her usual smile and said, "Nipa." The cold atmosphere that had been enveloping her whole body disappeared in an instant, and she turned toward me with the kind, gentle gestures that Rena would describe as cute.
まだ帰らなかったのか？
喜一郎に話があると言って残りました。聡子はレナがお持ち帰りなのです。
What? How? Oh, okay. That's crazy. Sleepover, we weren't invited? Kind of think of it, I feel like when Satoto was playing with the other kids earlier today, she said she wanted to see the new items Rena added to her collection. Given the time, I'm sure she'll be staying over. Rena finally had her wish, kidnapping a little child.
リカちゃんは？
Hashtag goals.
喜一郎の家に泊まることになっているのです。酔っ払いじいさんは僕でなければ誰も連れ帰ることができないのですよ。
Okay.
なんか保護者があべこべだな。
Yeah, true.
少なくとも酒の入った喜一郎だと保護どころか保護にすることの方が多いのですよ。ニパー。
What a terrible drunk.
ケイチ、ここから夜の村を見たことがありますか？
Kind of interested. I want to hear that voice again. If it is the Hanyu.
ケイチ、ケイチ。
No, it sounds more like
Keiichi.
Rita. Does that not sound like Rita?
ケイチ、ケイチ。
Might be Hanyu though. Intriguing. I guess we'll learn one day,
い
probably.
や、ないけど。やった。
I gently approached the vacant spot next to Rita-chan. I looked down at the village from there. The nighttime view had a mysterious quality to it thanks to the modest illumination from electric lights.
綺麗だよな。それに、なんだかのどかな景色で落ち着くよ。
It is a very nice, like, vantage point.
ここから見える明かりの一つ一つに人の命が宿っているのです。
リカちゃん、詩人だな。
Are those bars? It's kind of a bar, honestly.
こう見えても僕
Was that
は
a-
俳句
that was
も
a-
作れるのです。
I was never a fan of haikus. Was that a haiku though?
喜一郎やお涼にもなかなかの腕前だと褒めてもらったことがあるのですよ。
へえ、そうなんだ。
そうなのです。今度歌会に一緒に行って
Yo
勝負なのですよ。
That'd be sick. You know, I might not like poetry, but I did take a poetry class in university for like a semester. So I'm kind of knowledgeable about it. That sounds like it would put me at a tremendous disadvantage. Mion and Shion both seem pretty practiced in that regard, and Rena would be a formidable opponent. Satoko would likely receive support from Rita-chan. Excuse me? You don't believe in Satoko's wordplay? Haters hating. Elevating her to almost an equal level. In which case, the only people I'd be able to compete with are the junior students. That's right. Even if we're the worst out of the group, we're still top 5 in the class now because everyone's part of the squad. I'm supposed to be the class rep. How can I have such low aspirations? Isn't it a leader's duty to fight for the top even when I'm outmatched?
そうなのですよ。
No, I don't read my mind.
リーダーは
It's rude.
常に尊敬とそれに見合う勝利を求められるのです。
それはきついな。で、リカちゃん、なんで俺の考えてること分かった？
Literally everyone can, even when they talk to you on the phone. It's crazy.
そろそろ考えていることをそのまま口にする癖を改めた方がいいと思うのです。
Teach us how, please. Upon receiving that piercing attack, I immediately choked up. But as soon as I looked at Rika-chan's face, I began to smile naturally.
みー、どうしたのですか？
いや、そういえば言ってなかったよな。ありがとうって。
We're kicking the can.
あ、
Rika-chan stared blankly for a moment, but quickly recognized what I was getting at and flashed me a bright smile.
どういたしましてなのです。ニパー。
The thank you, of course, was for the help in the game that landed me the position of class rep. Yep. If Rika-chan hadn't tipped the can back then, my team would have been defeated.
考えてみれば、今日の宴会もほとんどリカちゃんのおかげなんだよな。
True.
別に僕は大したことをしていないのです。
I mean, you literally won. Though I wonder if Mion would have given it to Teichi still, even if he lost, just to show, like, yeah, he really stuck his neck out for the younger underclassmen.
みんなをここまで動かしたケイイチがずっとずっとすごいのです。
そんなことないって。けど、みんながいてくれたから今日があった。それは確かだと思うし、絶対これからも忘れてはいけないことなんだろうな。
みー、とてもいい言葉なのですよ。
Rika-chan said that with a smile and nodded.
だけど、ちょっと安心したな。
お、
だってさ、おかげでリカちゃんが元気になってくれたみたいだから。
僕、
Kicking the can also kicked the sickness out of her. The smile vanished from Rika-chan's face, replaced with a startled expression. And then...
もう大丈夫なのですよ。風邪も治って元気いっぱいなのです。
リカちゃん？
A faint smile floated across her innocent face.
心配かけてごめんなさいなのです。でも明日からはいつも通りの僕なのですよ。ニパー。
うん。
どうしました？ケイイチ。
あ、いや。
Rika-chan peered at me while lightly tilting her head in a cutesy, friendly manner. Staring straight at me with those dark pupils, I looked away for a moment in embarrassment, but something stirring in the back of that gaze felt out of place. I've realized it for a while now, but something is bothering Rika-chan. She never said anything, but it must be something deep and heavy enough to make her distance herself from us. I understood that much. And we've been waiting for the day to come when she'd be willing to tell us. But looking at her expression now, I don't think her problem has gone away. Rika-chan is still keeping quiet. Does that mean it's something we can't help her with?
違うわ、ケイイチ。
What that? Rika.
え？
How's she doing this?
この子を導いてあげて。
Oh, that's
あなただ
Hanyu.
けが頼りなの。
It sounds like it's Hanyu. It's Hanyu. It has to be Hanyu. I mean, there's no other sense unless the fucking Rika that's just chilling in the sea of fragments is communicating, which I don't think it's possible. That's Hanyu. She's here in spirit. What the? Just now I'm sure I hered a voice.
リカちゃん？今、 何か言った？
お
Rika-chan stared vacantly and shook her head. I quickly turned around and looked around, but of course there was no sign of anyone else nearby. Just the sound of trees swaying in the breeze. What if... Hear me out. What if Hanyu's actually in this fragment, but Rika just can't see her? Like, her powers is either that much drained where she's not visible to anyone, or Rika just lost the ability to see her or something. But she can still kind of communicate with everyone else. Wait, did I not read that? Just the sound of trees swaying in the breeze. Then what on earth was that voice? Still,
この子を導いてあげて。
those words I heard just now pierced a small hole through my tortured chest.
圭一
And so, I turned toward Rita-chan, who was still dubiously staring at me, and spoke resolutely.
あのさ、リカちゃん。無理しなくてもいいんだぞ。
み
Meep? Rita-chan stared at me with a puzzled expression. I immediately started to regret speaking so carelessly, but the pain tightened in my chest and coaxed me to put my words into thoughts.
今のリカちゃん。
My thoughts into
っ
words.
ていうか、ずっとだけど、泣いているように見える。なんだか、すごく辛い気持ちを抱えて、押し隠してるような。って、うまく言えないけど。
うん
だから、そんなに一人で悩まないでさ。俺でよかったら、力になるぜ。無理には聞かないけど、よかったら話してくれないか。
圭一
The smile vanished from Rita-chan's face as soon as she heard that, and she turned her gaze downward. Then,
それは委員長としての仕事ですか？
Rita-chan's unusual and somewhat thorny reaction caught me by surprise. She carefully examined my face, searching for my true intentions.
どうなのですか？圭一
リカちゃん。
I was a little confused by the atmosphere, like Rita-chan was cross-examining me. Her expression hardened, like it was something she didn't want touched. Even so, I just wanted to convey how I really felt.
委員長。それもあるかもしれない。けど、それ以上にリカちゃんは俺たちの大事な仲間だ。だから、もしも何か悩みがあるなら、打ち明けてもらいたいと思うし、手伝えることがあるなら手を貸したい。みんなだってそう思ってる。
みんなです。圭一はみんなにそれをちゃんと確かめたのですか？
No, but I think it's natural to think that.
それは、けど、いちいち聞かなくても俺た
It's
ちは
trying to say no. Who's the hater? Shion?
そうやって信頼するのは悪いことではありません。
Tomita?
でも
Oh wait, no.
もしその信頼が
Actually,
裏切られたら
Okamura's
そ
the
の
one
後
that
は
likes
どうするの
Rita.
ですか？圭一
何かあったのかリカちゃん。
聞いているのは僕です。圭一答えてください。
Why did Rita-chan have such a sharp, antagonistic tone today? And the strong light in her eyes made it clear she wouldn't tolerate careless answers. So, I organized my thoughts and earnestly put them together.
そうだな。正直言ってわからない。でも、そうやって裏切られるかもと思っている間は、結局その信頼は本物じゃない。
Now Keiichi's spitting. That's right. I mean, you can have, there's levels of trust, but if you have real trust, then you wouldn't even think that you would be betrayed.
だから、もし相手を信頼すると決めたら、裏切られることなんて考えない。
Mm-hmm.
少なくとも、俺はそうだ。
Real trust, at least.
僕はそんなにお人よしさんにはなれないのです。信じて それが叶わなかったことをたくさん知りすぎてしまいました。
I pressed too early. Rita-chan looked down as she said that. Seeing that face made me feel more and more worried about her.
本当にどうしたんだリカちゃん。もしよかったら話してくれないか。最近のリカちゃんなんか見ていられないんだ。
What that?
僕は
Almost hating, but obviously it's just worried.
なあリカちゃん、話せば少しでも気分が楽になるかもしれない。俺はリカちゃんのおかげでみんなの信頼を得ることができた。だから今度は俺の番だ。君の力になりたいんだ。
本当に
Rika-chan raised her head and looked up at me. I firmly nodded and looked back at her, waiting for her answer. Rita-chan gently turned her back and took a step toward the cliff. Then she looked up at the moon, shining in the vast night sky.
リカちゃん、あまりその先行くと危ない。
それなら
Just falls and dies.
あなたに聞きたいことがあります。
え？
もし
Her clear voice sounded like the ringing of bells. Rita-chan turned away from me and stood with her hands behind her back, then spoke.
もし定められた運命が本当に圭一はどうしますか？
定められた運命？
もしその運命が圭一の大切なものを傷つけ、そして奪っていくとしたら、圭一ならどうしますか？
それは。
What does that mean? Maybe it's a continuation of that poem from earlier? This didn't seem like the atmosphere to be making jokes like that, but Rita-chan was standing with her back to me, looking like she was seriously waiting for my answer.
圭一、どうしますか？
決まってるじゃないか。
So I
もちろん戦うさ。
gave a strong answer, filled with my true feelings.
リカちゃんの言う大切なものの意味はよくわからないけど、ミオ、レナ、サトコ、シオン、もちろんリカちゃんも俺にとって仲間はかけがえのない大切な存在だ。
And Kameda, don't forget about our boy Kameda.
だからもしそれを脅かす奴がいたら俺は戦う。
それが運命だとしても、もう決まっていることだとしても、
当たり前だ。それに運命とか未来とかが最初から決まってるなんて俺は信じない。そんなの俺がいくらでも変えてやる。自分とみんなの幸せのためならどんな相手でも俺は絶対に負けたりしない。
そう、本当に面白い人なのです、あなたは。
Beyond her slender back, I could hear the sound of a sigh. And once I realized she had faintly whispered something, Rita-chan turned toward me with the moon at her back and a more serious expression than I had ever seen before. Hey, it's that CG.
綿流しのお祭りが始まります。
Put that back in. That's from Himitsubushi, right? Oh, no, it can't be. Maybe this is new.
そして
そして
その晩、お社様のたたりとして富武が殺されます。
I immediately gasped at her words. Tomotate? Tomotate-san is that photographer who travels to Hinamizawa around this time every year. That man is going to be killed on the night of the Watanagashi festival?
そして時を同じくして看護師の高野が行方不明に。しかしこれは偽装されたものです。
Damn, we're laying it all out on the table, huh?
リカちゃん。
それからしばらくして今度は僕が殺される。この古出神社で 生きたまま腹を裂かれて。
The content of the conversation was so extreme, I couldn't even pitch out a word. And what's more, it wasn't about someone else's fate. Rita-chan was talking about her own fated death. For a moment, I thought it was a joke, but Rita-chan's expression was completely lacking her usual cheerful smile. She carefully weaved every single word as if reflecting on them. This is a delusional prediction? Or like she said earlier, this is fate?
なぜ僕が殺されるのか。それにみんながその後どんな
Oh, yeah.
運命に巻き込まれるのかも。
They all pretty much die. Except the odd time where Teichi or Shion or Mion lives or something.
はっきりと全ては分かりません。でもそれは事実。そしてもうずっと長い間続いている運命が生み出した忌まわしい時間の繰り返し。
何を言って。
すべて運命によって定められた出来事。僕は
Then, Rita-chan flipped her dark hair and took a step toward me. Her shiny, black, crystalline eyes stared straight at me, without laughter, without sorrow or anger, just a completely transparent expression as she motionlessly looked back at me, studying my reaction.
僕はこの運命を何百回何千回と続けてきました。そしてまた同じ時間を経てあなたたちとこうしてここにいます。
リカちゃん。
そんな厳しい現実を知ってしまった人間にとって気安い慰めは虚しく、そして腹立たしく思えるものです。力になる運命と戦うなんて口にするのは簡単でしょう。なら今まで一度もうまくいったことのない現実を幾千度も見てきた僕にあなたはそれに代わる何かを見せてくれるというのですか？
The girl was standing right before my eyes, giving off that cold atmosphere I felt earlier, and sure enough this was no optical illusion. Then, who on earth is this girl right in front of me?
あなたには初めて見せることになると思います。そう、これが本当の僕です。
Smiley me.
フルで
Smug
理科
smile.
のもう一つの姿です。僕は自分の死で閉じられたこの時間をもう数えきれないほど繰り返して生きてきたのですよ。信じられないという顔ですね。でもこれは夢ではないのです。僕とあなた、ここにいる二人だけが見ているたった一つの現実なのです。
Rita-chan sneered as she said that. I wanted to say she was wrong, but I held my tongue. Even if I spoke up to deny her, she would know that my heart wasn't in it. So, I just continued staring at Rita-chan in bewilderment.
答えてください、ケイイチ。あなたは僕に一体何を見せてくれるというのですか？
俺はリカちゃん。
Ichi continued staring at me with his eyes wide open. Or open wide. That's only natural. If a girl who was always smiling and laughing in a cheerful voice suddenly started saying something crazy, anyone would doubt their ears. I finally told him. And what's more, I can't keep my emotions under control at a time like this, so I showed him this form. He wanted me to tell him. He wanted me to help me. How long have I been waiting to hear that? And could that kindness give me the courage and hope to challenge fate? But can he still say that after truly understanding me? Because if not, then the words he conveyed are completely empty and terribly cruel. Does he understand that? I want to believe in my friends. I want to believe in them, relying on them, and accept their help. But can he really say that after knowing the weight of the darkness lingering in my heart? Will he still feel the same way? What's worse, unlike when I confessed to the club members in the previous world, this time I had no evidence of the truth. Despite the precarious situation, I was prepared to confess, and if I'm betrayed here, I'll truly be alone after this. But even so, I swung the dice, with no plan in mind. The dice have literally been cast. I waited for Keiichi's reply. In this world, unlike anything I've experienced before, Keiichi has shown me things beyond my imagination. It was my one hope against the despair I'd been saddled with. And unlike all the other club members who were silently watching over me out of consideration until I chose to confide with them, he stepped forward and is sticking his nose in. So, even though it seemed impulsive, I wanted to take this chance. If he believes what I say here, if he accepts the me that I've kept hidden until now, I think I could believe in a small miracle.
答えてください。圭一。
I took a breath while waiting for Keiichi's response. If Keiichi apologizes or makes fun of me, I'll smile and give up. I'll say, it was just a joke, Nipa. And after that, I'll only be able to think that this is my destiny. Like the boy who cried wolf, screaming for help in the worst possible situation before eventually losing his life.
リカちゃん
Before long, Keiichi opened his mouth.
ごめん
なんて冗談なので。
なんて言うとでも思ったか
I stopped painting my head and looked up at Keiichi. He was grinning and giving me a thumbs up.
正直リカちゃんの言ってること半分もわかんない。それにさっきからずっと言ってるけど、俺は運命なんてものは全然信じちゃいない。
そうですね。僕の言ってることを信じてもらえたのは何千回の中のほんの数回だけ。無理もないのです。こんな話信じる方が不思議だと思いますのですよ。だから
どうした？だからどうしただぜ。俺が信じないのは誰かに決められた未来ってやつで、リカちゃん本人とかリカちゃんの言うことに対してじゃない。それに仲間が苦しんでいるのを見過ごすなんて、俺がそんなやつだとでも思ってたのか？あのさ、リカちゃん。
As I stood there bewildered, Keiichi put a hand on my shoulder and deeply nodded to reassure me. His hand was big and warm, with a very gentle touch.
今言った話が本当か夢かはともかくとして、そのことで苦しんでるリカちゃんを俺たちが黙って見ていると思っていたのか？言いたくないことなら俺も聞かないけど、今そんなに怒っていったってことは本当は聞いてもらいたかったんじゃないのか？だから話してくれ、リカちゃん。俺も信じられないと思ったら正直にそう言う。だけど何も聞かされなかったら信じられる話かどうかも分かんないままだ。
ケイイチ
Again, his words and his expression gave me hope. He gives me the courage to set aside my fear of being betrayed and move forward. Will Kiichi truly believe me? And is it really the right choice to share everything with him right now? What a chapter? No, not done yet. I thought they were about to. Misread, I misread. Kiichi maintained a serious expression while waiting for me to open my mouth. Perhaps... No, if it's Kiichi, then I'm sure he can help. But even so, I was filled with unease. How will relying on his power be able to change the future? Should I persuade the villagers? Join forces to fight Takano? No, it's unlikely that either of those would succeed, and even with all the club members at my side, it's still the same. Should I confess everything here and now? I vented my timidness and frustration at Keiichi, but maybe I was trying to force out a snake by poking at the brush? I know it's too late for it, but those doubts and anxieties well up and instantly snuff out the joy that had spread.
それに俺だけじゃない。レナたちにも相談すればきっとリカちゃんの力になってくれるさ。そうだ、明日早速このことを話して。
待ってください。
No, tell them. It worked in Matsubayashi, it worked here. Probably. Instinctively grabbed Kiichi by the sleeve and shook my head. When he noticed that, he tilted his head to the side and looked puzzled.
どうしたリカちゃん。
このことはまだみんなには話さないでください。
どうして？絶対ミオンたちだってリカちゃんの話を信じてくれる。だったら頼れる仲間は一人でも多い方がいいじゃないか。
ええ、あなたは僕の話を信じてくれました。だからみんなもひょっとしたら信じてくれるかもしれない。でもその先はどうやって戦えばいいのか考えはあるのですか？
それはだけどそれならなおのことみんなと相談すべきじゃないの
We
か。
can damn Mion and bring the whole fucking gang of Yakuza. I always wanted to see that happen. The mountain dogs come in, you just see like a bunch of fucking black cars drive in with Yakuza members. I feel like that'd be pretty sick.
ここでとどまっていても何も始まらない。それよりも前向きに意見を出し合えばきっといい方法だって見つかるはずだ。
でも見つからなかったら。
リカちゃん。
ええ、分かっていますのです。僕はものすごく臆病になっていると自分でも思います。でも前の世界ではみんなにこの真実を打ち明けました。そのせいでみんな僕の目の前で死んでしまいました。
Even now, the scene is still burned into my eyes. I've witnessed countless death, but that scene, that made me feel like my body torn asunder. It was far too cruel for me to have any enthusiasm left. Indeed, I told Hanyu back then that next time we'll succeed. But the reason I had that confidence was because I had Hanyu supporting me. A bluff I made under the assumption that I could repeat that challenge as many times as possible even if I failed. This world had made me painfully aware of that.
確かに敵が誰なのかはもう分かっていますのです。でもこんな世界は初めてだからどう動いていいのかが分からないのです。良かれと思って真相を打ち明けて行動してもそれが危険につながることだってありえます。そしてきっとこの世界が僕にとって最後の機会だから当たって砕けろなんて冒険はできないのです。
どうして？
僕にこの力を授けてくれたもう一人いつも何度転生しても僕のそばにいたはずの仲間がいないのです。ということはひょっとしたら今度失敗すると僕はもう 生まれ変わってやり直すことができないかもしれないのです。
Pretty spooky. Yep, so I'm scared. Is it right or wrong to tell Keiichi the name of my enemy right here and now? Can I tell him? Perhaps I'll only be hastening my inevitable death. No, Keiichi and the others should still be able to live happy lives, but if I get them involved in the worst case scenario,
それじゃあリカちゃんを殺そうとする相手が誰なのかまだ教えてくれないのか？
I turned my gaze downward and bit at my lip. I'm really being such a coward. Hanyu isn't here. I can't start over again. When I thought of it like that, the anxiety and cowardice I've buried until now paralyzed my legs. My friend's power and our bond, which I believed were strong and firm, were looking quite fragile. And even for Keiichi, who looked so strong and gentle, with his hand held out to me. Misery and self-loathing rushed through my whole body, oozing out of my tortured heart. However, suddenly I uttered the shameful words from within my heart.
怖いのです。信じることが今は。
The silence continued. It was perhaps the first time I ever heard Rita-chan ask for help. We're friends. Precious friends. So there can only be one answer.
大丈夫だ。力になるから。俺を信じろ。
I could have answered just like that. It would have been a completely obvious answer. But instead, I answered honestly, because even though Rita-chan didn't seem conscious of it herself, she trusted me and shared her true feelings. So I thought it was the best thing I could say to get through to her.
正直言って今の俺がリカちゃんのどんな力になればいいのかわからない。全力でリカちゃんのために戦う気持ちに変わりはない。みんなの幸せを守りたいと思う心は誰にも負けない自信がある。でもリカちゃんにそれを信じろと言ってもすぐには難しいってことも分かってる。
Rita-chan stared at me with a firm expression. I'm sure she's discouraged, but even so, I put the strength into my fists and strung together the words to convey it.
でもな、リカちゃん。これだけは言っておきたい。俺はリカちゃんを信じている。だから今言ったこと、未来で起こるかもしれない事件のこと、すべて俺は信じる。そして覚悟も決めた。もしこの先どんなことが起きて、そして運命ってやつに巻き込まれたとしても、君を恨んだりはしない。少なくとも俺は絶対にな。
圭一。
怖いのは当然だ。俺だって同じ立場だったらきっと足がすくむ。だけど俺を信じろ、リカちゃん。この前原圭一は絶対にリカちゃんの力になってみせる。今は信じられないかもしれない。それでもいいからよーく見てろ。俺と部活メンバーの本当の底力と結束の固さを。そして見せてやる。この世界の俺と組めばどんな運命だってひっくり返せるんだってことをな。
今まで負け続けなのに、それを信じろというのですか。
You know what they say? Thousandth time is the charm.
それはこの世界の俺たちじゃねえ。赤の他人だ。それにリカちゃんもさっき言ったじゃないか。この世界は初めてだってな。だったら信じてみろよ、この世界の可能性ってやつを。俺たちは負けない。絶対に勝ってみせるからな。
My voice echoed throughout the tranquil shrine grounds. I was forgetting my place and throwing around foolish, naive words. But I was serious. I meant it sincerely. A breeze ran by, brushing against my hot, flushed cheeks. Rita-chan continued staring silently for a while. She suddenly broke into a smile and let out a weird laugh. Then she gently wiped the tears from her eyes and looked at me with a relaxed expression.
呆れるくらいに正直なのですよ。それにとんでもないバカなのです。でもだからこそ僕はこの秘密を打ち明けようと思いました。僕を子供扱いか妄言吐きと見て聞き流すような人だったらここまで危険を冒してみようとは考えなかったでしょ
褒められてる気がしないけどな。
う。いいえ、嬉しいのです。圭一はずっとそうでした。そしてそれがあなたの強さでした。
Rita-chan stared straight at me and continued, so?
圭一、見せてくれますか？僕が信じてもいいと思えるあなたの奇跡、そしてこの世界の可能性を。
Little by little, Rita-chan gently held out her hand. Her fingertips were illuminated by the moonlight, glowing in a fantastical pale blue hue. I was lost in admiration for a moment by the sheer beauty of it.
リカちゃん、
I grabbed hold of Rita-chan's hand and then I spoke.
分かった。その代わり、その時が来たらきっと話してくれよ。まだリカちゃんがその胸に抱えていることを。
ええ、もちろんなのです。ありがとう、圭一。
Rita-chan gently smiled at my answer.
今はこの手を握ってくれるだけでいいのです。僕の近くで僕が道化のように戦う姿を見ているだけの観客でいてください。
Clown about.
でも一つだけお願いします、圭一。僕が舞台から転げ落ちそうになった時は席を離れても受け止めてください。それさえ約束してくれれば僕はまだ僕のお願い聞いてくれますか、圭一。
ああ、きっと。
We held hands under the moonlight for a while longer. This marked the beginning of a long battle. Let's go! That was a hype chapter, man. Honestly, when the Dear You music came on, I was starting to feel it. Got in the fifis a little bit, but yeah, good chapter, good way to start off the new year. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Higurashi, and I will see you later as we start the long battle. Ooh. Anyways, later.